an educated guy. I have a degree, a reasonably decent job. You know, the minute that I know I'd obviously achieved those qualifications before I got a tattoo, did, you know, my IQ slip out of my body the minute that a needle touched my arm? No, it didn't.
Part of it could have done, couldn't it?
I doubt that. And, you know, in a similar viewpoint, I've had, you know, career elements where I've been, you know, taken on a new job. I've been looked upon very favourably by a boss. And then a colleague of his saw my tattoos and then said, oh, you know, was he aware of your tattoos, blah, blah, blah. And then, you know, he was made aware of that. And then his perception of me changed. But, you know, just a fraction of time earlier, I was good enough to take on a job. That's my first point.
Okay, let me just ask you, Miller, just on that point. Firstly, what sort of tattoo do you have?
I have my own band's logo. I have some flames and a sun and an Icarus.
What was the flying to the sun?
Yeah.
Yeah. What was the when as near as you can get, and it might have been a while back, I don't know. What specifically was the desire or the reason to want to permanently ink your body?
I like the design. I knew that I could get where I wanted to get, you know, whether I had a tattoo or I didn't have a tattoo. And it was just a case of expressing yourself in the same way a hairstyle is expressing yourself. Clothes you choose, the life you live, you know, is a way to express yourself.
But it's not the same as that, is it? Because it's permanent. So therefore, by definition, it differs from all of those other fashions.
Well, unless you've got a time machine, every choice you make is permanent. So you can't go back and change, you know, whatever you've studied. Or
well, you can change a pair of shoes. If you've got a pair of shoes on and you think, well, actually, on second thoughts, they don't look so good, I'll go back home and put some new ones on. You can't do that with a tattoo.
No, you can't. But then, if you haven't carefully considered what you're going to put on your body permanently, then yes, you are a fool. And there's an element of people like that you mentioned earlier on, chavs, etc. But the point I'm making is, one, everyone that's had a tattoo is not a chav, and two, the job in terms of the policeman or whatever, it should be based on the best person for the job, whether the guy has a tattoo or he doesn't have a tattoo.
So am I wrong then? Am I wrong to think that somebody who goes through the process of having the tattoo is a certain kind of person? That's my thinking.
Yeah, that's the viewpoint you have, and it's one that I guess different generations would hold, but at the same time, you know, if a cop on the
well, hang on, when you say different when you say different generations, I'm a young bloke, Miller. I'm not an old bloke.
I know.
In fact, you'd probably get an older bloke defend tattoos quite a bit, because a lot of that older generation used to have tattoos. So it's not, it's not an age. It's an easy.
The guy made earlier about peer pressure and whether they're in the Navy or whether they're within certain groups of people, etc., etc. Tattoos are more, common amongst a variety of, whether it be classes, ethnic groups, etc., etc. In the same way, police large varieties of people, and therefore, you know, these, if they're going to have a tattoo, what difference does it make? Because a lot of the people they'll be policing have tattoos.
So how old are you now?
I'm 32.
And how old were you when you had it done?
22.
Right. So you've had it for a decade. All right. So you see, here's the thing. I can't believe that at 22 you really believe that that's something you wanted on your body forever. I simply, with every intellectual bone in my body now, I cannot believe that. In fact, if you'd have said you had it done at 32, I'd applied the same thing. But actually, at 22, it makes it even more interesting. You got your first one?
I've got some further work booked in a couple of weeks' time.
You see, that's the problem, isn't it? It's the addiction of trying to make it look better.
Well, it's not trying to make it look better.
Because you're disappointed with the first one.
Going over the old one.
No.
So no regrets at all?
No regrets at all.
Not a tiny bit?
No.
But I can't believe
my only regret is the way that people look at them when in different positions with a bad viewpoint of the people that might have them.
I mean, you know, when I talk to my mate, and I've got a couple of mates who are pretty well tattooed, and I can talk to my mate Steve, and I'll look at his tattoos. I'm amazed by them. I think they're incredible works of art. There's some absolutely beautiful designs and bits and pieces, and all manner of things that he's got on there. As a piece of art, if you saw that on a wall in someone's house, you'd say, wow, that's amazing, some of the stuff he's got there. But again, I question him. I don't think he really wanted to have it done. I think he thought he should have it done.
Well, why is it any of your business to question his decision?
It's my business in the sense that there is a societal discussion to be had about your fellow humans and whether or not we tattoo ourselves. That's, I think, a very base human discussion about humans and body art and identifiable marks, whether it's earrings, haircuts, etc. I think it comes under all of those. I think there's a social cohesion argument within it. So that bit is my business. You're right. I couldn't, on the other hand, give a fig whether you had, frankly, your eyeballs tattooed. It makes no odds to me. But I'd feel for you a little bit if you did.
Well, yeah, I understand, there's always going to be people that think like that, but, we're going back to the original argument, which is about the people within, whether it's the forces or whatever, role they do in life.
Mm.
They're still utilising the brain they were born with, and the minute a needle touched their skin, it did not change their brain. Yes, they'll have morons. Yes, they'll have.
Yes, it does. No, but I think it does change their. I think it does. I think. Well, whether it changes their brain or whether that part of the brain had been changed beforehand, I'm not absolutely sure. But either way, to get to the point where you decide you want a tattoo and something you want on there forever, I think that is, in psychological terms, that is a shortcut. There is something missing. It's the same kind of thing that makes somebody want to take a drug. You'd have to say, if you take that drug, it might be legal, it might be illegal, but it's up to you. But there's probably, and it might not kill you. You might even enjoy the experience. Nobody ever took drugs to not enjoy the experience. You might enjoy the, but you'd have to conclude there was probably something missing somewhere. And I don't think it's unreasonable to apply a similar logic to tattoos. And that doesn't mean that it's a slight on tattoo artists, it's just an observation. Would that be reasonable?
No, because you just said, yes, I do think that someone's going to be, losing an element of their intelligence.
No, I said losing an element of their thought process. There's something.
Well, yeah, thought process, fine, but it's all driven out of one or the other thing. But it's just a ridiculous viewpoint.
Well, how can it be a ridiculous viewpoint? Well, because you disagree with it.
No, because how can a thought process be, represented by whether someone's chosen or not chosen to have a tattoo? It's just a bit of personal expression.
Yeah.
It's got nothing to do with
No, but it goes. Well, it has, because it goes beyond. It goes way beyond convention when it comes to freedom of expression, in the sense of the pair of shoes that we quoted, or the hat you might want to wear, or some makeup you might want to put on your face. By definition of it being permanent, that's really the issue. It means that your thinking is in a very different place from somebody who decides not to have.
Or does your wife have earrings? Does her ears pierced?
I've had my ear pierced.
Well,
I haven't got a wife, by the way.
How is that? How is that different in terms of, you've just?
Well, you can take them out.
Permanently, or
you can take them out.
But you've only got a hole in your ear.
Well, a little tiny hole in your ear.
And that's hardly part of your face.
Hardly a spider's web over your left cheek, is it?
Well, no, but, anyone who gets a spider web over their left cheek is going to, that's their personal choice. But the same way, you're saying that you'd quite happily stick a piece of metal through, your ear or whatever, then that's your personal choice.
But it's not permanent. But it's not permanent. There lies the difference. Listen, Miller, great chatting, and I think, maybe as a result of that conversation, he might cancel his next tattoo session. I don't know. I hope so.
No,
08717 223 334. Is that permanent thing? That's the whole issue.